This is the Integrex iX8, a 1:8 power first focal plane LPVO from Leapers. This scope was designed in America, assembled in Taiwan, and uses German Schott and Japanese Ohara glass. So, can a $1,000 LPVO change your perception of Leapers from a budget hunting brand to a premium optics brand? Hit that like button and we'll find out together. Let's skip the boring unboxing videos and just take a look at what you get inside the box. This is the Integrex iX8. It is a 1:8 first focal plane LPVO with a 28, not 24, 28, so larger than typical LPVOs for a little more light gathering, and a 34mm tube. It has an illuminated reticle, and it comes with a 2032 coin battery, which fits underneath that cap there, and our illumination knob turns with definite audible and tactile clicks. At first I thought the dash lines meant that there was an off in between each of the numbers, but that's not correct. The dash lines are actually the even numbers. So there's a total of 10 intensity settings per half, per color. That's right. It has both red and green halves on that rheostat. There's an off in between the red and the green, and it has a 12-hour auto off feature. That's right. After 12 hours, it automatically turns off and conserves battery life. But we'll get more into that later. And our elevation and windage turrets are locking. Pull up to unlock. Let's take a listen to that. Very audible, tactile positive, very sharp clicks. No slop in between each of the clicks, and each of the clicks is a half an MOA. This is user resettable. There are some set worm screws there. Just loosen those up to reset your turret. And our windage, wow, even louder. And tactile positive, very sharp, definitive clicks. Each of the clicks is a half an MOA. No slop on that. And let's take a look at our magnification ring. Turns very smooth. And it has a little built-in mini throw lever there. And by the way, here's a unique feature. Comes with a slip-on extension to that throw lever. And this is all metal construction, by the way. And you can just use a little set screw that it comes with to keep that locked in. But if you want it a little bit longer throw lever, yeah, but for my own personal use, this is perfectly fine. Turns with a good amount of resistance, but it is butter smooth. And our diopter, also smooth, with a little indicator dot to help you remember the position of your diopter. So I gotta say, overall construction looks pretty premium on the fit and finish as well. And this comes with some really premium glass. It utilizes German Schott glass and Japanese Ohara glass for the optics here. So let's get this mounted up, and we'll take a look through the scope next. We're looking through the Integrex 1:8 at its lowest power of 1 to give our best overall view through the glass. What I'm seeing is a very sharp, clear, bright image with no distortions or fisheye. Though I do see that as I bring this teal car in and out of the scope view, it looks slightly smaller inside of the scope, which indicates that this scope is actually a little bit wider than 1 power, similar to a Vortex Razor HD. If I bring up the magnification ever so slightly past 1, on the tube, it actually looks much more 1-to-1. But if you look at the telephone pole there at the very right, it is very straight, which means that this is a very flat image. Now I'm going to lock off the scope here, and let's bring up our magnification. Let's go to halfway, which is typically a scope's sweet spot, and we're going to stop at 4 power and take a look at the hilltop there, which is Mount Davidson, approximately 1,400 yards away. And that image is very bright, clear, and sharp from edge to edge. It's a slightly hazy, marine haze in the air today, so it looks slightly grayer than I'd expect, or you'd expect, but it's actually very accurate to what we're seeing in the real world. And I can't really see any chromatic aberration. Now, let's bring this all the way up to 8 power, and still a very bright, clear, sharp image from edge to edge. I could easily make out the trail marker sign there. That's a little bit above and to the right of the center crosshairs. That is a 3-foot-ish sign on top of a pole, which is a good proxy for an IPSC target at this distance. We are looking through the Integrix 1 to 8 at its lowest power of 1 to give our best overall view through the glass. And the overall view is quite bright, clear, and color accurate, and quite vibrant. Now let's bring up our magnification all the way to its maximum of 8 and take a look. And it is still quite bright, clear, and very sharp. A lot of detail, and that just shows you how good this German Schott glass is. Now, let's do a range of adjustments test, starting with our elevation. That's the very top extent. And that is the bottom. And let's bring our turret back to 0. And now our windage, that's the very rightmost. And that's the very leftmost. So let's bring this back to 0. Alright, let's do the nipple twister test. Caught my buddy Cyclops Joe. Now I'm just going to turn the heck out of these turrets and see if it'll come back to its original steering location. There's a pretty good turn, so let's just dial this back to 0 on this turret. And same with our windage. Oops, wrong way. Pretty darn good. We're looking through the scope at its highest power of 8, and I've moved this scope up to the 50-yard line to get a closer look at that reference target board. And you can see quite a bit of detail, not just on the board, but also on the backstop behind it. I can see individual hits on the steel backstop plates. And any color chromatic aberration that you're seeing on the outer edges of this image is probably more to do with the glass in the camera than the actual glass inside of the scope, which is excellent. Now, I can make out fine detail like the grid lines on the target on the top right, as well as the colors on the color card on the top left are quite vibrant and color accurate. Overall, everything looks just so super clear. And on our target on the bottom left, I can make out the reactive sticker target and the hits on that, as well as two 22 caliber holes below that reactive sticker target. And on the bottom right, I can make out both horizontal and vertical lines all the way down to element 2 or even 3 in group -1, which for an 8-power scope, even at this distance, is quite excellent. Let's check out the illumination here, and this is its brightest in red, and now it's brightest in green. Quite visible. Let's bring this over to more brighter lit areas, still visible in green. Let's bring this up into the sky here. Yeah, we're getting washed out, but still. Now let's see how that looks like in red. Yeah, I'll definitely call this daylight bright. Maybe not red dot bright, but certainly daylight bright. Now let's bring up our magnification all the way to 8 power, and now in green. All right. Before we talk about the scope, I just want to remind you to hit that like button and the subscribe button, which is free, by the way. You don't get charged to become a subscriber to this channel. And if you're already a subscriber, make sure that bell icon is set for notify all. That way you'll be notified when I post my next review video, or my next contest, or my next live stream show. So thanks for pressing those buttons before this video ends. And thanks to Discovery Optics for sending out this really nice heavy-duty 20 MOA offset cantilever mount. And of course, thanks to UTG Leapers for sending out their Integrex iX8 for me to test. Now, this is a long time coming because, well, I saw the prototype of this like 3 or 4 years ago, but this really does live up to my expectations. And let's be honest, UTG Leapers is really known for being more of a budget or mid-range brand, and when they wanted to come out with a truly higher-end scope that incorporated German Schott glass and Japanese Ohara glass, well, they came out with the Integrex line, and they really hit it out of the ballpark in terms of the build quality. And you saw in my testing, the glass on this is just superb for color accuracy and for clarity. And they incorporated some new features that weren't in the prototype, like this. This has an auto-off feature, which I think is a game changer, at least to me. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the range and realized, I've forgotten to turn the battery off. The last time I was at the range, and now I have a dead battery. Well, this turns itself off after 12 hours if you've left it on, and that's going to be me for sure. Let me know in the comments if that's you too. And I like the fact that this has both red and green illumination, though I wish that it had an off in between each of the power settings. settings rather than having to turn it halfway between the red and the green to turn it off. And I wish the top end of the brightness was just a tad bit brighter. Certainly it is daylight bright. I can attest to that. And I wish this was just a little bit lighter, but the fact that it is has a 28mm objective lens and a 34mm tube, you can't get around physics. It's not going to be the lightest LPVO out there. But I think overall, in terms of its price, and it is not the cheapest scope out there, but compared to other scopes that are over a grand, what you're getting for the price that you're paying, I think makes this a really good value. So if you want to get more information, you can find links in the video's description. So thanks for checking that out, and thanks for taking the time to watch this video. God bless. Moondog out. What did you think of the video? Leave me a comment. And you can always chat with me on X, Facebook, or Instagram. You can find useful links in the video description and check out my other videos, channels, and my website, moondogindustries.com.